everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal and welcome for the first time in quite a while to the inside of my car, which of course as regular viewers will know that can only mean one thing. I am here at the, as the big letters say right in front of me on the building, Show Realty Training Centre, if I want to get it grammatically correct. London Colney, of course, to all the old school. But yes, I'm here for Mikel Arteta's press conference ahead of tomorrow's game against Nottingham Forest. We'll be heading out of my car and up into the building just to the right of me, just over there in a second. We're about an hour away from the press conference starting at the moment. I'm sure the players and Arteta are over on the training pitches, which are right behind this building over here, going through their final session before tomorrow's game against Nottingham Forest, the lunchtime kickoff, of course. Plenty to talk about with Mikel in the presser, so I'm sure we'll be talking about injuries, what's going on with Bukayo Saka, what's going on with William Saliba, how things have been since the international break has been over, how things have been since the Liverpool game. Plenty of questions to ask him. So I'm going to pop over there in a second. I will come back afterwards and we'll go through some of the headlines of what Mikel Arteta's had to say, go over some of the big talking points, and I will report back to you very, very soon. So stay tuned. Shoba Realty Training Centre, what a place. London Colney, of course. Oh, well, that was actually quite a good press conference from Mikel Arteta. You never quite know what you're going to get when you come here with Mikel. Sometimes it can be a good mood, sometimes not. More often than not, he's not in the most sharing of moods. But he revealed quite a bit today. We've got some good stuff to talk about. I'm going to jump on the M25 now and get home. When I get home, I'll do a bit more of a recording on this and get it all uploaded. And we'll go over the quotes in a little bit more depth. But the good news before I get on the motorway is William Saliba is back training. He trained today, according to Mikel Arteta, which is obviously really, really good news. As I said, when those reports on the 3 to 4 weeks came out from France, it wasn't something that I had confirmed. And I was always a bit, from the conversations I'd had, I didn't get the indication that these were strictly correct, and obviously they weren't, because he's back training today and Mikel says they've now got a big decision to make in terms of tomorrow's game. I mean, I think the fact that there's a Champions League game on Tuesday night and there's a big game against Manchester City to come the following week, you don't really want to risk Saliba if he's not 100% ready. So, you know, Mascara showed when he came on against Liverpool at Anfield that he's more than well enough equipped to be able to deal with the Premier League, and so I'd be starting Mascara still and not risking William Saliba, but wait and see what Mikel Arteta does. There is no Bukayo Saka still. He is still out, but he's progressing well, according to Arteta. Havertz is doing well, obviously far too soon for Kai Havertz, but he's now walking freely on his knee after that operation, according to Mikel Arteta. And starting to put load on that knee as well. He wouldn't put a timescale on his return. He said he wouldn't want to do that with someone like Kai Havertz because he knows how hard he's going to work to try and come back. Gabriel Jesus, I asked him about Jesus and the fact he wasn't included in the Champions League squad, and Mikel said to me that he was not due or expected back training with the group until December time. That's what the doctors had said to him, and that's why they made the decision to leave him out of the Champions League Champions League squad. So we'll wait and see if that is correct, but that's certainly what Mikel said to me. So Jesus not expected back until December. Some good stuff on the contracts with Saliba and Saka. He says they're progressing very well. The collaboration between Andrea and Berta, the club, the agents are going well, and says that both players want to remain at Arsenal, want to play a big part in the future over the next few years. So you've got to take that as a fairly positive sign as well. So lots of good little bits and pieces from Mikel. Like I said, I'm going to jump in the car now, head home, and then when I get back, I'm going to speak about him a little bit more in depth, look at the quotes, and get this video uploaded for you. So from the Shoba Realty Training Centre, as it says there in big letters right in front of my car, I'm heading off now, but I'll be back in a minute to go over things in a little bit more in depth. Okay, I am back home after an absolute nightmare journey, as usual, on the M25. For anyone who knows that road, you'll be well aware of what I'm talking about. So, right, as I spoke about before I left London Colney, I'm going to go into a little bit more depth now I'm at home in terms of exactly what Mikel had to say at the press conference. If you haven't seen it already, there is the big news. William Saliba is back, of course, back training, so that is really good stuff. So this is what he had to say. So on Bukayo, he said Bukayo's out and he's trying to get back as quickly as possible, but we need to respect that process. Willow trained today, and as the rest, as usual, Ben White as well. Ben is okay. On Bukayo Saka, and sort of when specifically he could be back. He said, let's see, he's evolving really well with very specific work at the moment. The moment we increase that load, let's see how he reacts. He was asked after that, well, would you rule him out of next week then? Champions League Tuesday night, Manchester City. And he said no at that point. But you know what Mikel's like when it comes to injuries, so I wouldn't read into that too much. So that's what he said on Saka. On Saliba, he said Willow trained today, so we'll have to make a decision on whether to play him tomorrow or not. But he called it very good news, and that is a boost, no doubt about it. You know, I was a bit wary about the reports in France just from conversations that I'd had and was told, you know, I wouldn't really follow those reports. So I was hopeful, but I have to admit this is pretty early. I was very surprised that he's back for this game. I was also very surprised that Mikel Arteta admitted it as well, but he did, and that's good news. As I said previously when I was in the car, though, I'm not sure you need to risk him for this game against Nottingham Forest, especially when you've got some really big games to come. That one against Manchester City, we know how much Gabriel and Saliba love playing against Haaland. You want to make sure Saliba's 100% for that. So we'll see if he's there. If he is, great. If he's not, then I'm more than happy with Mascara, given what we've seen from him so far. So that's good news. On Kai Havertz and his injury, I'm just trying to find the quote here in terms of what he said. He said he's looking really good. He's walking freely. He's starting to load that knee and starting to do some bits. As I said before, I think we're taking it from weeks into months. But knowing Kai, I cannot give you a timescale because I know what he's going to try and do. And the same with Gabby Jesus. I think he's in a good moment. It was a very tough decision for him to go and have that procedure done, but I think it was necessary and the right decision from the medical team to persuade him to do that. So, no, we'll wait and see when Kai Havertz is back. Mikel not putting a timescale. It sounds pretty positive from that. On contract discussions around Saka and Saliba, Mikel was asked about it. He said, look, it never stops. I think the collaboration between the club, Andrea Berta, and the agents is very, very good. I think the good thing is that the players want to remain here and they want to be a big part of the history of this club in the next few years, and that is always positive, and Andrea will drive that and see where we go. And as I've spoken about before, you know, there is a confidence at Arsenal that these two will sign new contracts, but until it's done, you just never know, do you? But certainly the signs are pretty good from the sort of whispers you hear, especially with Saka. As I said earlier, Saliba, it's a little bit different with Saliba. You don't quite hear as many sort of positive noises or just any really sort of noises coming from that. And I wouldn't take that as a bad thing by any means, but you just, certainly from the way things are going with Kaya, it feels like that's something, you know, that you're a lot more confident will happen than Saliba. But hopefully, as Mikel says here, they're both going really, really well. And they will both sign new contracts. What a huge boost. That would be a huge, huge boost. I did ask him about Gabriel Jesus and the fact that he was left out of the Champions League squad. I was like, what was the thought process behind that, given we've already seen, you know, the videos, him doing lots of work on the training ground with the ball and everything. Mikel said he had major surgery that was going to take him many, many months. So after discussing with the medical staff and understanding the schedule that we had and when we thought he could be available, that it would be between December and January, we decided to make that call and leave him out of the Champions League squad like we've done in the past with other players. Hopefully we did it wrong and he comes back earlier, but at the moment the provision was very clear. So I sort of reiterated to him then, so you're thinking December when he's going to come back? And he said to start training with the team in December. It was around that time. That was the schedule that we had. So it was quite interesting stuff from Mikel today, I thought. As I said earlier, sometimes you get different, you go in for a presser and you don't get much from Mikel. He's not in the greatest of moods and he just keeps everything close to his chest. He gave a little bit more today, which was quite a good thing, made it worth the trip as well. There was lots of other stuff as well. He was talking about Isak. It was interesting in Isak. He said he was asked about Liverpool and what the signing of Isak does to their title chances. And he said, I'm trying to find a quote here. There it is. He said, they have recruited probably the two most decisive players that were in Europe on the market, and they've done really well to recruit them. So one of those is Isak. And there wasn't a follow-up question on that, on who was the other one. I think he's probably talking about Wirtz. I can't imagine he's talking about Ekitike. Maybe he is. But I just thought that was quite interesting in terms of what Arsenal have done in the market. Who they've signed, obviously, in attack, Gyökeres, Madueke, Eze. And yet here he's talking about Liverpool. He says they've signed the two most decisive players in Europe that were on the market. Now, we all know that Isak was his dream. That was the guy he wanted over everyone else. But it's interesting that he put another player into that mix as well. I thought he talked a lot about Ange Postecoglou. Obviously, he was asked a lot about that because of the narrative behind the fact that this is Postecoglou's return, his first game for Nottingham Forest. You can go and find the full transcript over on Arsenal.com if you want to read more of that. There is more coming from Mikel a little bit later on today with the 10:30 embargo stuff ahead of tomorrow morning's lunchtime kickoff. And that is it from me and my review of Mikel's press conference today. Thank you very much for watching and for listening. Appreciate it. There won't be a morning show tomorrow because it's an early kickoff and I've got to get myself up to the Emirates early for that, but I will be doing a show afterwards from the press box with my sort of post-match reaction, hopefully talking about a very good Arsenal win, doing my Arsenal player ratings, all the usual stuff, so keep your eyes peeled for that. But until then, have a great day, enjoy your Friday evening, everyone, and I'll speak to you very soon. Bye-bye.